Haley Norris, realtor.
No.
Should I make my hair go like this? Whether you need to buy, sell, or lease. Haley, can I use my hands? Or is that, where are my hands? Where do they go?
Just say,
Haley.
Just say Haley.
Whether you need my expertise. Haley Norris, realtor. Or even do a commercial lease. Haley Norris, realtor. Should I say Remax Real Estate Center or no? Is that too salesy?
No, that's good.
My average days on market is just 50 days. You need my expertise. And that means I'm putting more money back in your pocket.
One has to beg the question of how many accidents will be enough before something gets done about Johnson Avenue in Jonesboro. Yet another bicycle pedestrian accident reported on Monday, resulting in an individual being airlifted. And it's not exactly certain whose fault it was based on the incident report that was sent along to us. This one took place at 7:25 yesterday at the 4300 block of East Johnson Avenue, and a 2007 gray Kia passenger car was traveling south at a parking lot. It was actually turning right. Whenever they were turning, they were looking in one direction, the direction they were going to be going, but in the other direction, a bicyclist was going down the sidewalk. And when they pulled out, they run over the bicyclist. Thankfully, the cyclist is apparently expected to survive, and that's good because these are often times they end up being fatal cases. It was reported still that there may have been a compound fracture for the cyclist, and the cyclist was airlifted to the Med in Memphis. But that's not the only story to talk about, because we also found out yesterday more details about an accident that had happened back 10 days prior on June 15th. It was on Johnson Avenue in Jonesboro that a man was struck by a semi-truck. It was on Friday night, June 15th. And authorities had difficulty reaching his next of kin until they finally released the information to us yesterday. They still, as far as we know, have not spoken to the next of kin. So if you know the relatives of George Jones, known also as Geo, G-E-O, 59 of Jonesboro, then we could use your help trying to get the word out to his relatives. Also killed on Johnson Avenue. A location that just is not very well lit, that does not have clearly marked crosswalks, and that has traffic speed limits that are relatively high, and a lot of hills too. So folks are coming over the hill real fast, and they don't know what's on the other side of it. This accident happened at 9:30 p.m. June 15th. It was a Friday night, and Jones had been walking southbound across Johnson Avenue whenever the accident happened. It was a 2006 Freightliner that was driven by a Harrisburg man that was going east in the outbound lane near the intersection of Johnson and Drake when the pedestrian walked into his path and was reportedly struck by the vehicle. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, officers noted he had a strong odor of intoxicants about him, and they examined the body. They said that it was not a very well-lit area, that was difficult to see, and it did not at least appear initially that authorities were looking at placing the blame on that one on the driver of the truck. But it was another accident, and two that we just were, in the last 24 hours, able to report more details on the same stretch of roadway, Johnson Avenue in Jonesboro, which is proving to be more and more dangerous by the day. It just remains to be seen what, if anything, the city will do about this dangerous pathway that does exist in North Jonesboro. If you're out driving today and you're going through Jonesboro specifically on I-555 at or near Harrisburg Road, there's apparently an Arkansas State Police speed trap or a level of speed enforcement that's going on today out there. A number of folks passing along to NEA report that folks were getting pulled over out on the interstate. It's always a good idea to drive reasonably anyway, but we also like to help folks out to save a little money too. So if you're out driving, well, don't help state police generate their revenue today and avoid yourself a ticket if you have the chance. A terrifying set of circumstances was reported last Thursday at the CVS pharmacy in Jonesboro at the intersection of Southwest Drive and Main Street after three suspects came into the store and committed an armed robbery, putting a gun to victims' heads, telling them that they would shoot them if they didn't comply, and causing the scare of a lifetime for a store of folks trying to go about their business and their lives early in the morning hours of June 21st. It was just about 8:20 whenever the incident began to unfold. It was reported that three suspects entered the store, the CVS pharmacy store at Southwest Drive and Highland Drive. They were listed as being between the ages of 15 and 17. All three black male suspects, juveniles, two standing at about 5'11", one standing at about 5'9", according to the report. The suspects' information that we'll talk about as far as what they were wearing. The first suspect wearing a black hooded jacket with white drawstrings, black pants, and a possible gray or light-colored set of tennis shoes. The second, black pants and a black hooded sweatshirt with a small white emblem in the upper left chest portion with white tennis shoes. The third subject, white or light-colored jeans with designs or cuts in them, a black sweatshirt with a hoodie, and black tennis shoes. The incident, according to police, happened whenever, at this point in time, it was, like I said, it was just early in the morning, and some folks were getting to work, some folks were trying to make their way and make their day happen, and apparently one of the victims was outside in the vehicle with a witness eating breakfast in the car. But they noticed three black males, all wearing hoodies, walking from the back of the store, walking in. And they said they had a bad feeling because of how hot the weather is. You know, nobody's going to be wearing a hoodie or a sweatshirt in the summer months right now, except for somebody up to no good or Melania Trump. And so the victim was reported to have exited the vehicle and walked into the building with the suspects directly behind her. The victim said she punched in her code into the front door so the alarm would chime if anyone exited or entered the building. She told the suspects to remove their hood. She had to tell them that several times. All three of them finally did, but they were not very enthusiastic about it. They hesitated. Victim advised that the suspect removed a black handgun from his pants and placed it to the victim's head. Ordered her to the ground, zip-tied her wrists behind her back. The suspects returned to the back, confronted another victim, pulled a gun out on her, told her they were going to rob her, and also zip-tied her. A witness was able to reach the front door around this time, and the doorbell chimed whenever this witness went through the door. So this scared the suspects, and apparently they tried to, take off fleeing on foot at this point in time. They were, cowards, and they were trying to get out of there. But a witness said that was setting the drive-thru. The suspects came around, running around the building, saw them running west between an old shop building and Christy McNeil Dance Studio. A white passenger car, as I mentioned, that the victim, one of the victims, was setting in having breakfast. The witness tried to catch him and find him, but actually was not able to. And at a point in time, that's where a call about a white car had come in originally to dispatch. Authorities said that the incident had rattled folks in the store, both victims crying, visibly upset. One of the individuals was so terrified that she reportedly urinated on herself because of this. And these little scumbags, had walked in there with their guns and, the gangbanging attitude, and decided to try to ruin some lives so they could get a few $100s and, go smoke some crack or whatever it is that they're running around doing. If you have any idea who is behind this, and you could help stop these people from, doing this in the future, because they're going to. Anybody that would do this once is low, and they will commit that again. Please contact police. Our community does not need this in it, and there's absolutely no reason that folks like that should be walking free, that would go into a store with a gun and just scare the life out of the people in there. If you have any idea who did this, if you can give police any information, contact Jonesboro Police Department, 870-935-STOP. 935-6710 is the number if you want to reach a detective. I think Detective Josh Weist, or Weist, W-I-I-E-S-T, is working on this one. Agents have been working on this case with the FBI, as a matter of fact. They've discussed this case with an FBI agent who believes this is connected to a ring of robberies he's currently investigating and that spans numerous states. The incident clearly has attracted the full attention of the fullest level of law enforcement, but authorities need help finding out who these suspects were. If you have any idea who they were, please contact the Jonesboro Police Department. Charges have been filed against the Bono Fire Protection District's former treasurer, who is alleged to have stolen almost $250,000 over a number of years, which begs the question that nobody seems to be asking. How the hell did nobody notice this before $250,000 was stolen? I mean, really? It's taken this long to figure this one out. I'm talking about government incompetence all over. And I'm not pulling any punches on this one today. It's alleged that McGinnis stole $250,000 before anybody noticed. And she waived her Miranda rights during an interview with police. I mean, gosh, at this point, she's probably starting to feel guilty about it. The probable cause affidavit says she said she'd been stealing money for years. And whenever authorities turned over financial records, they dated from 2010 to 2018. 8 years of records. To give you an idea of the felony theft statute that she is facing a charge for, it's 1/10, just about, of the amount that she's alleged to have taken. Because they don't make statutes that high, because most people would never see that statute used. But in this case, not so much. McGinnis was a law enforcement officer working for the Jonesboro Animal Control. In addition, she was a Bono City Council member and, of course, was the treasurer of the Bono Fire Protection District. Another member of the Bono Fire District is the chief of police there in Bono, who turned the case over, Michael Parrish did, to the Craighead County Sheriff's Department on about April 24th, whenever the fire chief, Trent Edwards, began noticing some serious discrepancies. He noticed that money had been written checks had been written to McGinnis and signed in his name, but not by him. Also, checks were written in and to cash and signed by McGinnis. When McGinnis talked to detectives, to authorities, who seemed to find this problem just about instantly whenever they looked at the financial records. So I still have not gotten an understanding of how it took so long to find this. Whenever the Craighead County Sheriff's deputies did become involved, that was just in April 24th, they found this stuff, they found all the evidence that had been presented to them, and they interviewed McGinnis. She waived her right to counsel, which they tell you anything you say can and will be used against you. In other words, even if you're trying to be good and tell us what you didn't do wrong, we're still going to try to convict you with what you tell us. Even knowing that, even being in law enforcement, and even being fully aware, McGinnis waived her right to counsel, the probable cause affidavit says, and admitted everything. It said that she said she not only signed the name of Edwards, but she said she may have signed the name of the prior fire chief too. 185 checks written in total. 185 probable causes for counts of forgery. That's literally what the judge found. Now, we got to explain to you with that in mind why 2 counts have been filed against McGinnis by 2nd Judicial District Prosecutor Scott Ellington's office. As he and I spoke earlier this week, and we talked yesterday, I discussed this with him. There's several factors involving this. The first of which is he said he could add more charges later. And he said also that some of the sentences, instead of running consecutive, which is one after another, would most likely run concurrent. In general, unless you have a serious offender, you're not going to get concurrent sentences one after another. Meaning 185, for instance, 10-year sentences would be, if they're concurrent, 10 years long, because they're all at the same time. If they were consecutive, 185 years plus a 0 on the end, 1,850 years. That's the difference in consecutive and concurrent, and it's very hard to get concurrent charges, concurrent sentences. But it could happen, and Ellington said they may amend the charges, and they should. Every count that can be proven, should be proven in court. Because if I did this or you did this, we would never get away with it. So somebody that wore a badge or that was whatever in the community shouldn't either. And I think Ellington knows that. But I also think he doesn't want to add 185 charges and then have to drop 150 charges, for instance, because he can only prove 20 or 30 or whatever it may be. That's what he actually said to me, which makes sense. McGinnis's next court date is on June 29th. Indiana Report's going to be following this, and we'll, let you know what the very latest is. She's out on bond right now, and hopefully we'll be able to find out more information. However, the charges, as I mentioned, were one felony count of second-degree forgery and one felony count of theft of property for an amount greater than $25,000, which the amount almost was greater than $250,000.
Family Medical Clinic of Walnut Ridge and Bono are your neighborhood healthcare providers, and we're now accepting new patients. We know you have a tight schedule, so we're here 6 days a week at both locations from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Walk-ins are welcome. In Walnut Ridge, stop by 1045 West Main Street or call us to make an appointment, 886-8300. In Bono, we're on Highway 63 North or call 930-9990. Walnut Ridge Family Medical Clinic and Bono Family Medical Clinic, here for you when you need us.
It's time now for a look at your New Wave Wireless weather forecast, home of the $49 iPhone screen repair. Let's take a look now at a forecast that is hot and full of chances for showers and thunderstorms, but not a lot of them. Here's what it looks like now as we bring you this forecast that is really loaded with hot temperatures and heat indices that are near and approaching 110 degrees. Let's look at that right now. With tonight being a 20% chance for thunderstorms before 1 a.m., we should see 75 for the low with partly cloudy skies. Wednesday, a 30% chance for thunderstorms before the afternoon, with mostly sunny skies, a high near 94, but the heat index up to 107. Thursday, sunny and hot, the high near 98. Thursday night, you may see a couple of showers, but you probably won't. Friday, sunny and hot with a high near 97. Saturday, you may see a couple of showers, but you probably won't. With mostly sunny skies, a high near 96. It's just a 30% chance of that. And sunny skies on Sunday, too. With the heat indices around 107, 108 degrees this week. You've got heat advisories that have been issued. I want to mention that today we've got one until 8 p.m. tonight. That'll be issued again tomorrow, just most likely going to be for the next couple of days. It says the combination of hot temperatures, high relative humidity are creating dangerous conditions for those doing strenuous outdoor activities. Elderly and small folks, the small children, are especially susceptible to heat-related illnesses. Somebody's probably going to hold me to task for the way that I said that just there, and if it was me, I would too. That was almost a blooper there. A heat advisory means that a period of hot temperatures is expected. A combination of the hot temperatures and high humidity will combine to create a situation in which heat illnesses are possible. Got to drink lots of fluids, and we're not just talking about the kind that have alcohol in them. Also, stay air-conditioned, stay inside, stay out of the sun, check up on relatives and neighbors, check up on your pets, make sure the pups have lots of water, and don't forget to make sure that your relatives that you perhaps have that are living alone, that are older, are checked on too. It says an occupational safety and health administration recommendation. It says to schedule frequent rest breaks in shaded air-conditioned environments if you're outside working. Heat stroke is an emergency, and if you think you're facing that, well, you're going to have to call 911. Back to the current conditions right now. It's 93 degrees, fair skies. Hungry for a lunch special? Well, if you are, Sam's Southern Eatery of Jonesboro might be a place that you want to check out. But you might want to check out the reviews before you check out their food, and that might lead you to checking out visiting their establishment. It's a very entertaining and most certainly not serious news story, but one we're telling you about right now here in NEA Report, as it's called Sam's Southern Eatery of Jonesboro, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about the place that has 28 Facebook reviews, or it did as of this morning, and 17 of those were one-star reviews. Some of them were 2-star reviews. A handful were 5-star. They liked it. They liked the lunch special. However, it was some of the reviews and some of the reactions from the manager that were just too entertaining to let go and to let pass us by. Let's talk about some of this stuff right now, because if you haven't seen this story, it's at neareport.com. You definitely want to go check this out. The first, second reviews, handful of reviews, they're pretty good. Well, actually, the first, second review were 1 star. I should correct myself. But a handful of reviews after that were good. The first review said that the couple did not get their food, got up and left. The couple seated before them. Apparently, they didn't have their good time either. Things went bad, though. They went from bad to worse at this location as the reviews continue going on and on. For instance, "This one absolutely sucks," said Gabe. Rude hostess makes you wait for obviously empty tables." And something that you see a whole lot of talked about in this is apparently the candor from some of the folks that work there. One of those statements that was made is, "The servers act like they want you to die." That is a pull quote from Randy. But it's one of the reviews, it went a little bit more than just critique, at least. And in the manager's eyes, it got personal. Or in the man that said he was the manager. It was one of well over a dozen reviews that pretty much said the same thing. Your restaurant's the worst in town. The fish was decent. They get good reviews on the fish, but everything else was terrible. The man claiming he's the manager said, "You are a lie. You ordered a dish you have never had before. Then when you didn't like it, you didn't want to pay for it. You as a customer should have ordered something you have had before," which I've never heard a restaurant owner or manager tell someone. "Customers like you need to stay at home and cook for yourself." "We have the best fish and shrimp in town. Customers like you don't understand that as a manager, I have a boss to answer to." And this is a server that works at Sam's, by the way, not a manager. "I have served oysters several times, and I've never had any complaints about them except for you. You don't like oysters and have never eaten them before, you should not have ordered them." And then blame the manager because you didn't like your food. Sounds like you really just wanted to get a discount. If that's all he said, I don't know that I would have written this story. Of course, I probably would have anyway. But then we find out it's some of the reviews that he's taken even more personally, including a review by a man named Todd. This was posted by Nathaniel Alexander. It was photos of the manager's replies to one of the reviews. And take a look at that. Can you see those words? If you can't, if you're just listening along, he calls this guy a, quote, "faggot" in the first message. I'm counting 3 times. He calls him a betch, B-E-T-C-H, 2 times. An N-I-G-A, which we can guess what he meant to say with that. And then he continues on and on and on and says it's time to take that shit now. Talking about the review. Pretty much challenging him to a fight. This man appears to be the manager of this Sam's Southern Eatery. And Sam's Southern Eatery is a chain restaurant. It's not just this one location. But the question now is this one location part of their broader chain? Or are we looking at maybe a local ripoff? And I say that because there's no evidence on the Sam's Southern Eatery website of this location being an official chain. Also, based on all accounts, the place has no idea how to prepare their own dishes. And then you have the manager repeatedly stating and being hostile. As this review by Heather says, the manager is a vile and rude person and has no place in customer service. It's remarkably interesting And don't forget, their sign, if you didn't notice it in the first picture here I showed you, looks like it's about to fall off. It's hanging by 2 bolts, and they're strained. And when this side falls, this whole thing is going to fall, because these bolts over here are not going to hold up the whole sign. So I hope nobody's walking under that sign the day that decides to collapse. And maybe they will improve, or perhaps the reviews will be taken down. We'll keep a watch on it. But if you're hungry for Cajun food, I'm not sure that we can recommend necessarily the lunch special. Thanks so very much for choosing to stay informed with NEA Report today. We're glad to have you in with us. We hope you'll join us back here tomorrow for more news from Northeast Arkansas, live on Facebook every day at 3 or so p.m. and uploaded to YouTube immediately after the fact. Of course, we also have news articles published all the time. You never know. I might even write a story at 3 a.m. about a crappy restaurant in Jonesboro that's got a bunch of funny reviews. You never know. I'm Stan Morris. Now you're up to date from NEA Report.